Hi, it's Jamie with Jamie's Arts a la Cartes. Thank you very much for joining me. I have a fun project planned for us today. I hope this video inspires you to create something of your own. If you would, hit the like button and share the video with your friends. That helps me to grow this channel and to continue to bring you new projects. If you haven't subscribed yet, would you please consider subscribing? And if you have, thank you very much. Well, we have a lot to do, so let's get to it. All right, we're doing a practice burn right here of our chicken rooster. Sorry for all the glare, but I had to have some bright light. But there we go. We are engraving. All right, I'll show you when it's done. All right, well, that's what we were going for, and that's what we ended up with. How about that? All right. This is just a practice set, but this is me learning how to engrave with the laser. All right, here's piece number 2. This one should take about 1.5 minutes to create. And again, the hardest part, I think, is going to be learning how to create that proper registration, meaning getting it centered on the wood piece just perfectly. Well, it doesn't look horrible. I just wish it was over a smidge, right? All right, that's what I'm working on today. Trying to get this registration down pat. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line down here at the bottom and maybe over at the side, because I needed to scooch over just the tiniest little bit to be fully centered. Hard to show you, but I'm going to mark it, and then see, I'm going to do this exact same design just the way it is, but I'm going to move. I'm going to try to create a registration mark on the tile. Let's see if that works. Well, registration might be the key. Just got to get the registration right. We're working on Be Merry on Santa right now. Oh, I like that one. All right. Ooh, I'm going to try flipping it over. Let's see if we can make that one happen. Wow, that one came out really good. But guess what? I forgot to mark the time before I picked it up. I was so anxious to see it. All right, next one. All right, here's our next one. Dear Santa, let's negotiate. Oh dear. Alright, here's our next set of Santas. We're going to work on these two little elves right here. The laser is over here just doing its thing. This design takes about 1.5 minutes also. Let's see if I learned anything about registration. Looks like I got a little close on that one side. We'll have to see when it comes off. Yeah, a little close on that side over there. Alright, I can do that one better. Alright, well this one was harder than you thought to try to get it centered. But I am giving it one more shot. Well, that one's a little better. This is a hard design maybe, with the size and the height and everything. I don't know. Didn't get that one quite the way I wanted it. Alright, we're trying this design. Let's see how we did on this one. I did notice you do get some flaws in some of these. See that right there? So I'm going to put the design on this side. I got these after Christmas last year. So I didn't pay a lot for them. So that's why I felt like I could practice on them, right? My dear Santa, I can explain. There's that one. And the next one is there in the works. Again, the cursor on our screen shows us where the laser is at in our design. So it's always nice to kind of see where you're at in the project. These are pretty simple little motifs that I'm putting on there, but you can see how that would come in handy if you have a really detailed project going on. So that one came out super cute too. So now we're on to tractors, Christmas tractors. I flipped that one that was too light and I'm doing this design on the back of it. Let's see if it will come out for us. Alright, that one turned out super cute too. We're doing it one more time. Then we have one Santa left. So I'll look through the files. Had a lot of Santas to practice on, so I'm grateful for that. But here we are. Again, you can use your cursor to tell where you're at in the burn. And you have the little timer down here. Alright, so this one was a little bit longer because it's quite dark. Right? 1 minute 42 seconds. But it moves pretty quick. Alright, here's our next set of snowmen. This package only had 6. Different places had different things, so that's okay. They still are pretty cute, right? So I'm going to try something completely different on these. I want to go vertical, up and down the wood piece. So let's see if we can make this happen. Right, there are those two. Look at that. How cute is that? I made this one, this next design, just a little bigger and a little bit lower on the snowman. It's all a learning process as you go, right? Yeah, that looks like it's going to be on there a little bit better. How fun is that? So I am tinkering with the different speeds of the laser. And there is that one. How about that? How stinking cute is that? A little elf. I haven't figured out how to make the image bigger yet. Alright, how fun. Alright, there's that one. Ooh, got that Mary up there pretty tight, but you can still read it. That registration, even after all of this practice, registration is still the nemesis. There we go. Follow the cursor. Got that little timer down there. There we go. Alright, here is the next one. We're going to put it on a Santa. I think I've got it centered just right. And so then you go and you hit the little green arrow and you tell it to go ahead. You got your safety goggles on and it does its thing. So you can see on the screen it's giving me an update. See the cursor moving? And then down here it tells me what to expect. So this should be done in like 3 minutes. Now on this one I did have to adjust, number one, the speed as well as the lines per millimeter. I'll show you that on the next one. I just kind of had to learn that. But I'll show you this one as soon as it comes off the laser. Well, that one wasn't a complete success. I don't know if I can save it or not, but alright, so if I have to add lines to the design, it's probably too much heat for this particular wood. Alright, that's the learning curve. Here's the next design, and it's just going to town. These take about a minute to create, so not bad at all. Just like the other set, we'll take them inside and give them fancy toppers. Might be a little different this time. Got a different idea, but got to get them created first. There is that one. I think I'm going to redo this one, do like another one, and see if I can elongate it a little bit more, fill in a little bit more of that body of the snowman. Let's see what happens. Alright, that's how that one turned out. Now I'm working on this one. Hopefully I got that centered just right. That's probably the hardest part of all this, is getting it lined up just right. Once you understand like strength and how not to burn stuff, that's probably the next challenge, is making sure you get it all lined up just right. Alright, we're engraving our second one. These don't take long at all. Like 30 seconds, something like that. That's how that second Noel came out. Looking good. And now working on all is calm and bright. We're going to add a little of this iridescent green on some of these. Right here, so here are the scorched ones. This is my last bit trying to save them, right? Our nutcracker, maybe around a deer, around this one. Here I'm going to varnish this. Once it dries, I'll take a fine tip Sharpie and make that a little darker. So I went from way too much to not enough. So here we go. So we got our varnish out, but let's go ahead and do this and let it start drying for us. Okay. All right, let's let it dry. All right, here is our next set. And what I'm going to do is I want to give them all just a real thin base coat of red because they're all Santas. All right, so we did it a little bit different the last time. We did different colors. This time I want to do just red. So I've got some water in here, and I'm just going to try not to, my brush is peeling, y'all. And I think it's a little too much, so let's see, let's get rid of some of that water. I just want to water down some red. So I just have like a whitewash, but it's red, so I guess it'd be called a red wash. Looks good. Looks good. Now we'll just let it dry, and then we'll see what we're going to do next. Close up our paint. All right, drying time. Let's go ahead and get our last tag strung up. So I'm just using tape on the end of these two small pieces of twine. This came with the ornaments. Give it a little twist. This is not what came with the kit. It came with some little red bells, but I'm going to use that on another set. But what I want to do is I want to put 3 wooden balls up here. And I think it looks super cute. So they can be tags or they can be ornaments. But just a nice little way to finish these off. Okay, I'm about to lose my tape. Trying not to. I only have one more wooden bead I need to put on here. So tape doesn't do anything except hold those 2 pieces of twine together for me. There we go. And then it just pulls off just like that. And then just a simple slip knot right through here. And I am going to work that loop so that it sits right on top of that top bead like that. And then I'm going to come all the way to the end and another little slip knot. And pull it pretty tight. Get my tails even here. And voila. Now, something I did as an experiment, I went and hand drew. It's the ones that were light. And then on these, I took a thicker Sharpie and just give it the outline, just a little bit of oomph there. So that's what we did with those. And then I put another coat of little varnish on there, let it dry, and then we got the hangers. All right, here are our snowmen. I took sandpaper and went right around that edge because that's the one that had the imprint on it. So that cleaned that right up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead, I'll start on the back, just like we've done with the others. I'm going to do a white and this teal shimmery color here, turquoise, iridescent. So I want to use that. I'm going to go ahead and get some props for us so that we can not leave these on a flat surface, and maybe we can help it to not stick and then cause a flaw that we got to fix. All right, so there they are, and we will just get us a clean brush and get the white paint out. It is a apple barrel white and matte, so no gloss, but we'll end up putting varnish at the very end just to seal it. Alright, there is our snowmen. They're coated. The first coat of white. So we will let all of these dry, and then we will flip them over and go about decorating the other side. Woo! Progress! But here they are, and we're ready to go ahead and put our coat. Our first coat of paint, which will be this matte white, just like the back. And then we'll decide what we're going to put around the edge. We've got all kinds of choices, from glitter to this iridescent varnish. All right, that's nice. To all kinds of metallics I have. I have a red and a green. Probably not on a snowman though, but then I do have this gold. So we'll just see what works best. All right, let's go ahead and get our painting done so that it can dry. There is our first coat. It's showing up a little bit, but not how I hoped. So we'll see when it completely dries what it does. And we might end up doing like an antique waxing kind of thing on this, just so that we can get those words back. All right. Oh, so much for that idea. All right, let's let it dry. All right, our Santas are all dry. So now I want to get a coat on the front and then let that dry and then see where that takes us for what we want to do next with these. Alright, there are our Santas. And we've got a smidge of paint left just in case we need to do any touch-ups. So there we are. Phew! 10 in this set, so it took a hot minute to get those painted, but you can see that the words are coming out nice. That little grain burning, the wood burning from the laser. So we'll see what it looks like when it's all the way dry and see how we want to finish these up. How about that? Progress. All right, we gotta let them dry. What if we did a super washed out blue? All right, not real happy with the way those turned out, so let's let them dry, clean our brush out, and then see where we're at. But yeah, let's let it dry. Right, well, there we go. How about that? We'll let them dry, and then we'll probably put a spray coat on them, because I'm not sure the varnish would work, but there we are. There's our snowman. Definitely got to let them dry now. I like the smaller versus the heavy glitter on there, and it is this big flake glitter, right? Kind of like that too. That's a little bit different for us. All right, let me get this cleaned up so that we can go to the next step. All right, our snowmen are dry. So now we are going to decorate the front. I'm going to begin by putting, I've got a smidge of this silver paint left, and so I'm going to apply just a real light coat to it. Just to bring out my words just a little bit. So Sharpie idea is not doing what I thought it would do, so just giving it a little bit of color. Directions say just stir it gently, and you can use it with a Q-tip or a brush or a palette knife. I'm going to use a popsicle stick. So let's see what happens. It's just to add a little bit of dimension to your project. There are our snowmen. I hope that silver doesn't end up looking gray, because it kind of is off with our little snow here that is white. But this is a little odd to work with. I mean, we'll see what it dries. If it dries looking good, then it doesn't matter, this piece, but this is definitely different than before. It's a little harder to work with. The other was more like, maybe I have just too much water, but it was more pasty, and I could really put it right where I intended for it to go. This is either too thick to move, or now I think I've just got it too thin, so it just means I'll have to let it dry a little bit of extra time, and that's okay. We're doing this way early before we actually need them. Just want it to look good when it dries. You know, some kind of fun little snow texture on there is what I'm going for. So we'll see what we come up with. Okay. Let's see if we need to add it anywhere else. Move down here. We'll stop there. We'll just let it dry and then see what it looks like when it's all the way dry, and see if we need to add any more to it. See what it looks like. All right, we're back to drying time, y'all. All right, here's our Santas. The varnish is dry, and so now we're going to start working on the fronts, and I think I want to use this iridescent green. I think that will look good on these. So let's see. Let's do one and see what it looks like, right? Because I've been wrong before. All right, so we've got this green shimmer on there. I think I want a little bit something else, so I may put some glitter around the edge, but I need to let it dry. So we're back to drying, y'all. It's forever drying. Okay, let me get this to where it can dry, and then we'll see what we want to do next. All right. Be back soon. All right, our backs are dry, so now we're going to do the front. I'm going to try a red shimmer on here. Let's see what it looks like. But we've got a little bit where we can see it, right? I just want to see if I can bring it forward just a little. These will get sprayed with the clear spray. I think I'm just going to outline the shape with some glitter, but that gets lost, so I don't want to do that. All right, at least we didn't do a lot of them. All right, let me get this cleaned up, and then I'll get our glitter out. so we've got our Santas, and that's what we're going to go with. A little more masculine, so maybe grandsons will like these, right? So, all right, I got to clean up. Got glitter everywhere again, y'all. All right, let me get this cleaned up, and where we can see when this dries, we'll end up putting a clear spray on it. I'm pretty sure that's going to make this come darker. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see how they turn out. Okay, we got to let them dry though. There we are. There's our Santas. How about that? Those came out pretty cute. Again, I think the words are going to get darker when we spray it. We'll see, right? Okay, drying time. And I got to clean up, y'all. I got glitter everywhere. Don't tell my husband. Okay, I'll be back to you as soon as they dry. Actually, they'll dry, then we'll spray them. Then I'll bring them back in so I can start making the hangers. But we are making good progress. All right, so we are still working on our laser engraved ornaments. Or they're really going to be tags. But when my husband sprayed them, like put a urethane, a clear coat on there, they went away. You can't read it anymore. So I'm having to go back and add a little bit of paint on top so that you can read it. And then some of them I had to go back with Sharpie and bring forward the message on the tag. So I'm going to show you. I have this tag. It's a little hard to read. So I just take my Sharpie and I carefully go inside the grooves and just put my words back on this little tag. That's got a little snow right there. It's okay. Then that's for the thick ones, and then I take a fine point and I just come back and add those other little embellishments, right? And then boom, we have the tag back. Right, so it goes from this to this. Some of them are okay. That was a good one to show, right? So you saw what it was. That's what we have. We'll let it dry. Same thing with these snowflakes. Something about when we put the clear spray on there, we just lost some of the words. They looked okay when we sprayed them, and then we lost the letters. So here, this is pretty pretty deep groove right there, and I needed to just touch it up. So these Sharpies do the job. Alright, so the way that I did these, and I will write, you know, the to and from just in Sharpie on them, but let me show you how I got it to this point. So I'm just using a rose gold acrylic metallic. I put it on there very lightly, and then I literally wipe it off. But what I want to do is I want to make sure I get it in those words really well. So let's move these to the side, and we're just going to, and I can see where my picture's at. And I make sure I go in there pretty good, and I'm going to leave it there for just a minute. I'm going to go different directions. And then I'm going to just lightly even over the glitter, because honestly, it doesn't matter. You can still, it still shines through, but it just sort of pulls the piece all the way together. All right, so it's a super dry brush. Then just take an old towel, old washcloth, whatever you have. I have Muse and Terry here, and then just give it a light, and even in here you can dab. That's a little better sometimes. But then when you come outside of the image itself, I press a little harder, right? Remove a little bit more. Get that charcoal background. We're trying to make non-girly ones for boys. And here we are. And just like that, our image comes back. Okay? Again, so this is what we have. Let's see what we can come up with. See that it is shimmery, but you can see it pretty well now. All right, we'll let those dry, and we'll go back to looking at these white snowmen. Snowflakes. We have a whole bunch of Santas, different kind of sayings and pictures and what have you. And then we have the snowman, right? And that's that faux snow that I put on there, right? Use both thick and thin Sharpie on those. And here's our green glitter Santa, right? And then more snowmen with the red. I have a few with the gold bells on there. And then we have our red set, right? Have a couple greens in here. More than a couple, but you know what I mean. And so these have both bells and then these nice wooden beads. Man, we've got some tags for the holidays. Here's a tractor. Loving that one. And my chicken. Look at, there's my chicken. So, what did I learn? So this was my first experiment working with the laser. And so, again, what I learned is that you can go too light. And here's that one. And again, you can go too dark. Right? I was able to save it. And you can read it. And it looks good. But I had to work on it a good bit to get that to show, right? Or if it's super light, then you got to go over it with something. So Sharpie here, and then I used paint on these to bring this one back. So I put glitter on some. I did like a white wash on some with colors. So I won't do this charcoal color again. It was too much. It overpowered the engraving. The machine itself is very easy to use, but I have to get better at judging the settings, right? Where I can get this, you know, just right. Like, this tractor looks good. It was almost too dark, but once I did that finish on it, it almost could be too dark, right? The chickens came out really good. I've got a deer here. Let's see, where's the deer? This deer came out really good. Oh, I like the palm tree too. Those are really good. So I went too light when I tried the next set. This set was actually okay, but then when we tried to seal it, we lost it with the color. I don't think it was the wood burning. I think it was a combination of the color and trying to seal it. So next time I will work on using scrap wood, because I have a couple more wood burning things that I want to make. Engraved, laser engraved. But in the meantime, we've got some really cute, super cute tags. We've got chickens, roosters. We've got all kinds of characters in here. So there we go. We've got a bajillion. We've got elves all over the place. We've got palm trees, Merry Christmas, and I may go over that when I do the back, like put the name on there, right? So it can be that side or that side. So sometimes I did try. That one almost burnt through. That one actually looks better than that side. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll pick the best side if it has two on there. Like there's two chickens. So that can be literally either way. But for the most part, they're just blank on the back. All right. This was when I was first learning. And so I am going to just write to and from on there. I could have burnt that on there, but it was all I could do to try to learn. And you got to learn how to center it, and then how many, because when the laser was working, remember, it goes up and down to make the design. So you have to judge how many lines you want in each little area, and that determines, you know, how dark something is versus how light something is. Then when you go to put your coating on the top, if you want to do any kind of decoration, you know, any color on the top, then you have to take that into consideration too. Whew. My brain is full, y'all. Well, this is what we have, and I'm happy with them. I think the grands will think these are cute, right? Definitely different. So, even have a Christmas unicorn. How about that? Alright, well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like it, share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, would you please consider subscribing? And well, until next time, happy crafting. Alright, let me get us cleaned up, and then I'll spread them out, and then I'll take some pictures for you so you can see them up close. Alright, until next time, y'all.